Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Excited to interview my buddy Tony Javier here. We've actually known each other for a number of years. He's been doing some amazing stuff with generating leads on TV, which not a lot of people are doing. That's what we're going to talk about, the power of TV advertising to generate motivated seller leads. Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Tony, welcome to the show.
Mike, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Always good to see you. Of course, I just saw you a couple of weeks ago at Investor Fuel, so always good to see you. It's funny when you go to events like that, even my own events, I see so many people and you almost like never get enough time to talk with any one person because there's so much going on. But glad we could come back around and catch up a little bit today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great event, man. Had a really good time in Nashville.
Yeah, we've got a good group there in Nashville. This is our second time in Nashville. We're actually rebooking there for next year too. And so I say this about our Investor Fuel crew in Nashville. It's like some of them have a little bit too good of a time there, but I think after all that everybody's been through over the past year, a lot of folks are, looking for any opportunity they can to cut loose a little bit. So glad everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I was in bed by 9, but everybody else, it sounds like
you were
they had
good.
A good time.
Yeah. I promise you, somebody was there to represent you on the other side of that equation.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I heard some stories.
Yeah. So, hey man, I'm awesome. It's awesome to have you here. We've talked for years. You've run an amazing business up in Wichita. And the power of this business is all driven by lead generation, right? I mean, leads are really everything. If you don't get an opportunity to talk to motivated sellers, the more frequently you can have those conversations, the better your business is going to do. It's as simple as that, right?
Absolutely. Right now, competition is crazy. Like I've been in this business 20 years now, and I think 5 years ago, I could start seeing it. 2 to 3 years ago, I really started seeing it, but man, the market's gone crazy lately. So everybody's popping in real estate. So getting in front of people and talking to motivated sellers is the name of the game right now.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, and this is the truth, this is a fact, is that, most of the people that we help in this business, whether it was 10 or 15 years ago when you and I were first doing this, or whether it's today, is a lot of that's driven by things that happen in people's life: death, divorce, inheritance, problem rental properties, all those things. Those things don't follow market cycles or anything else. Like those are still real issues that people need help with on their properties. And so for those that are listening right now, yes, it's competitive. There's more people talking to those folks, but those situations that are creating opportunities for us as business owners and opportunities to serve people have not gone away at all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about timing and consistency, right? Like I know you run a direct mail company. I do and work with clients all over the country doing TV, and it's all about being consistent and staying in front of people because they may not be selling now, they may not be selling, next month, but eventually, a lot of those people are going to be selling, right? So you just got to stay in front of them and stay relevant and just let them know that you're there when they are ready to do something.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, and this, you've been doing this for a long time, like real estate investors, this is where we're at with this industry. Like it's gotten a little more mature, right? You can't be as sloppy with your advertising dollars as you used to be. And that's why, you and I have known each other for a long time. It used to be, you could, just throw money at advertising, and even if you were bad at how you did it, like it was still a really good return, right? But as competition has come in, as the market's tightened up, it's forced people to do some things that, you really make a lot of your money on the fringes. Like you need to be a little bit better at follow-up. You need to have a little bit better data. You need to do some techniques that not everybody can do, like TV advertising maybe, and things like that, right? So where people are winning right now, where some of the top real estate investors are thriving, is that they're doing some things that the average investor still isn't doing, and maybe can't do, or doesn't have the funds to do, or doesn't have the patience to do, whatever it might be. but it's just time, if you're not doing this already, to explore some new avenues and just get better at, how you do everything operationally, right?
Yeah, you got to sit yourself apart from the competition right now. So even if you are cold calling and texting, it's very competitive, but you need to figure out how to do it differently. If you're doing direct mail, you got to figure out how to find the list faster, or create a message that's different from everybody else. And then with TV, I've 9 years ago I started TV, and literally there was one person 9 years ago in the whole country that I heard that was doing TV. And even until now, I still don't know that many people that are doing TV outside of our program.
Yep.
So creating something where you can do something different than other people, right? I mean,
Right.
driving for dollars you can do. There's not a lot of people doing that. That's more labor intensive. So yeah, you gotta figure out how to find the leads that nobody else knows how to find, and not fight necessarily over the leads that everybody else is fighting over.
Right. Right. Yeah. And TV advertising, the great thing about that is it just sets you apart, right? It just gives you this level of credibility that the average, advertising channel doesn't. So I'm excited to talk about it. So I know you want to hey, before we jump in, why don't you tell everybody your background? Because you've got a pretty impressive background of how you found your way here and did everything you do now for other people, for yourself for a long time too. But maybe just kind of tell us how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so 20 years ago, college found a late night or saw a late night infomercial, Carlton Sheets no down payment system. So something just I saw the numbers flying up there. I'm making $10,000 a month. I've got 100 rental properties. All this kind of stuff. So I'm like, and that's when I really saw the power of testimonials, right? I mean, you know this, when you have testimonials and people say that it's great, it just makes a huge impact. So just seeing all those testimonials, I was like, man, I got to order this. $200, got a thing of CDs. I think they just gone from tape to CDs. That's how long ago this was. And then got a binder, and it was a really simple program, nothing special, just how to buy properties with no money down. So I think it was within like 3 or 4 months, I'd closed on 2 properties. I had my dad co-sign for me. He gave me the down payment to one. The other one, I just found a lender that was willing to fund 100% of it on a construction loan because I got such a good deal on it. 2 properties, no money down. Ended up first 10 properties I bought and flipped and did the Burr method. So I feel like I invented the Burr method without knowing it. But yeah, I burred 10 properties and had, I can't remember the numbers, but like within a short amount of time, I had like $200,000 in equity, and I was like 24 years old or something like that. So that was super cool. And then ended up getting my real estate license, sold for a while and flipped. And then, so I actually worked waiting tables for 2 years and finished my college degree before I jumped full time into real estate. But
Wow.
yeah, it's been great. 20 years of real estate. It's been a lot of ups and downs. I can't say it's been glorious throughout the whole process, but now I've got a great team in Wichita, Kansas that runs, my entire flipping and rental operation. I live in San Diego now, moved here 6 years ago, was able to automate my business where it didn't need me anymore. And so it's just, it's been great, starting the business, figuring out how to get myself out of it, which a lot of people don't know how to do, which I really love helping people do. I'd say TV is probably the top thing I like to work on with investors, because I get some results right away. But the second thing is inspiring them to automate their business to get out of it, so that they don't have to be in the everyday operations of it. So,
Yep.
and since I've been able to automate my core business of flipping, I've started co-working space. So I've got a large co-working space in Kansas, and we're getting ready to build onto that. I've got a lending company where we lend down payments to real estate investors, and then launched my TV program last year. Someone encouraged me to start showing other investors how to do TV, and they said, "Hey, we need another marketing channel. And a lot of other investors need a new marketing channel. It's just getting super competitive. You're the only guy that I've ever heard doing TV. Why don't you show other investors how to do it?" And so we launched last year, and it's going gangbusters. Not a lot of people doing TV in any given market, and we're growing very rapidly.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So what are some of the benefits of TV? I know you've got a few things we're going to go through today as to why TV advertising makes sense. So maybe kind of start off by telling us, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, I'll give you the top five benefits that I like to talk about. There's so many more, but for the sake of time, I'll limit it to five on the show here. But the first one is credibility. Like, there's nothing that builds credibility more in real estate investing, and probably for any business in general, than TV commercials. It's like once you get on TV, people just look at you differently, right? So I live in San Diego. Anytime I go to Wichita, people just start talking to me like they know me, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just a different conversation. Raising private money is a lot easier. When someone refers a private lender to me in Wichita, they're like, "Oh, I've seen you on TV for years." Within a week, they wire me money for a deal. I mean, it's just a different conversation. It'll build credibility for all your other marketing. People will call off our direct mail or other marketing we do and say, "Hey, we've got other people that have sent stuff to us or contacted us, but we've seen your commercial, so we decided to call you." So it's helped our other forms of marketing. So just the credibility factor, I think, is one of the big things that a lot of other pretty much no other marketing method really has, right?
Yeah.
And then, the second thing I can say is the little to no competition. Like I just mentioned, like if you go into any market, if I'm on a call with someone, they're like, "Hey, I want to get into, let's say Dallas, Texas." I'll ask them, I'll be like, "How many other people do you know doing TV in your market?" Answer is usually zero. Don't know anybody else doing TV. And if there is anybody doing TV, there might be one. I think I know one market where there's two other investors doing TV outside of our program. And so, think about one, two, even three people on TV compared to hundreds, if not thousands, doing texting, cold calling, and some of the methods that are really competitive.
Right.
So just standing out from the competition is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then number three, high ROI.
Hey, let's talk about one thing about the competition that I want to say too, that because you said this, it helps when you send direct mail, people, it actually improves other channels too, just because you have this, because you can say, as seen on TV. I don't know if anybody wants to do this with texting or cold calling, but in theory, they could say when they had a conversation, "Did you happen to see our commercial on TV?" I mean, and people would, no, I'll tell you this, I get a lot of texts. Somehow people have gotten my cell phone number. Actually, a lot of the houses that they're texting me on are not even houses that I own or ever owned. I don't know how that's happened, but, and I get,
Yeah.
more texts for houses that I don't own than the ones that I do own. But nobody has ever said, "Want to talk about your house, curious if you saw us on TV," or something like that, right? That would stand out from the types of texts that I get for sure.
No, that's interesting. I've got a client that's super heavy on text, and we were talking through like different things, and I was like, why don't you create a little web page that has your TV commercial and a little bit about TV and that kind of thing. And when you text people, you can either do it on the first text or you can do it on the. I think you can only do it on the reply. I think now you can't send domains in text as well through some carriers. So when someone replies, say, "Hey, by the way, have you seen our TV commercial? And just do a little spiel on it, put the TV commercial on a web page." And I bet you that would
Oh, I'm
create
sure it
a
would.
lot of credibility.
I'm sure it would, because it
Yeah,
makes you
yeah,
stand out from all the other stuff you've seen.
yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, because
Just like
if you have 100 people text message you, which I think at this point it's probably close to 100 people that I've had text message me about properties because we own a lot in Wichita. It's like if someone was put something out there that had way more credibility, I would be way more likely to say, "Okay, let's talk," and
yeah,
maybe give me an offer on some of my properties.
right, right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool. So we're going to get into the ROI. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, ROI. I mean, last year we did 11 times return on our money on TV.
Oh, wow.
And so, ROI, if, most marketing campaigns, if you can do 2 to 3 times, it's decent. If you can do it over 5 times, you're doing really well. So to get 11 times return on investment, and we have a lot of clients that are in that 10x ROI. There's nothing better than getting a high return on investment, especially with high return on time, which is the number 4 benefit I like to talk about, because TV doesn't take a lot of time. Like I spent 3 hours last year on my TV commercials. It was basically shooting one new commercial and looking over the budgets with my media guy, because he does most of the work on the back end. So just knowing that I spent 3 hours last year on TV, which is my best and highest returning marketing method, and I got an 11x return on investment. I don't know of any other marketing channel that you can spend as little time and get such a high return on your investment.
Can you talk a little bit about the investment side? Like, I think some people stay away from TV because they think like I could never afford that. But I know in talking to you that depends on the size of the market you're in, right? But it's not as much as what the average person would probably think.
Yeah, it's a huge barrier of entry to get into TV. Number one is the mental mindset. So two things happen. Either one is it's too expensive, right?
Yeah.
Or two, I don't want to be on TV, right? Like, there's typically those two things that get people from even thinking about doing TV. And then, there's other obstacles, like people will call a station. Like I've had clients that have said, "Hey, I heard about your program. I looked at TV last year, a few months ago, whatever it was. It was just way too expensive." And they got quoted like $15,000 to be on one station. And I look at their numbers and I'm like, actually, for between 5 and 10 grand, we can get you on like 4 stations. And it's
Yeah.
because we know what works. We have a media buyer that negotiates the rates for you. So, the stations are going to try and sell you the most expensive stuff, which typically doesn't work because we've tried the expensive stuff. So we can get you a lot of commercials on multiple stations for a fairly low ad spend. So, there's some big markets where you're gonna have to spend 10 grand plus. That's just the nature of the market,
Sure.
because you're hitting millions and millions of people. But most markets, I would guess 80 to 90% of markets, you can get away with like a $5,000 a month budget, which, as you know, a direct mail campaign or anything you do that, produces results, you're probably spending 5 grand a month. Chances are, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
to be able to spend that on,
That's not that much in the grand scheme of things for sure.
yeah, totally. So yeah. And then, the last, but not least, is just higher quality leads. If you're doing outbound marketing, which you're reaching out to them and trying to get them to give you their information, you're going to get a lot of crappy leads. They're going to kick tires. They're going to text you back and say, "Yeah, give me an offer," when really they're going to want full retail price. There's so many different things that people will give you their information when they're not really serious. But if someone takes time to see a commercial, pick up the phone or go on your website and actually fill out a form, it's just a much higher quality lead. And not only that, but the leads are easier to talk to because you're not having to convince them that you're a credible buyer. If you're on
Yeah, for
TV,
sure.
going back to, number one is you've already built the credibility. And, so the conversation is going to be much different. So the quality of leads higher and the quality of conversation is going to be higher because they're not, just, trying to dig and see if you're really serious or if you're really a buyer. I mean, if you're on TV, they know you're serious.
Yeah, that's a huge part of the initial conversation, is trying to let people know that you're legit, right? Through most other channels, is they want to know, yes, we can help you. Yes, you've been around for a long time. You've been doing this for 10 years, whatever it might be. Our scripts tend to be front heavy, that, we're real, we can help you type thing. And it seems like TV would cut right through that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been on TV for 9 years, and even clients that have been on TV for just a few months, they'll get comments of like, "I know you guys are a legit buyer because you're on TV," just kind of like comments like that.
Right.
So without a doubt, I mean, just blowing through the points here. I mean, just high ROI, high return on time, super automated, builds a lot of credibility. I mean, there's nothing better that I've done for my business over the last 20 years than to do TV commercials. And I tell people this all the time, and I really mean this. If I didn't start TV commercials 9 years ago, I don't know that I'd really have that much of a business, because I get most of my leads and most of my deals from TV commercials right now.
Wow.
And, it's just done so much for me in my current market.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about, some people think it's too expensive, which is interesting because I know people that have done, I have some experience with TV and radio as well. And you're right. People will, in fact, there was kind of a joke about it at the last Investor Fuel. There was a guy that's a member that he used to sell radio spots to people. And there are several people in the group that were starting to do radio. And he just kind of said, "Man, I would have loved to like sold radio to you guys, because you're all overpaying,
Yeah.
So there's always this, like, these rates that somebody could get way cheaper than what kind of the rack rates are, but you just have to know who you have to find those people, right? I don't know why the industry is set up that way, but it just is, right?
Yeah. And it's all about who you talk to, right? It's kind of like being a buyer's agent, or having a buyer's agent. Like if you go and buy a house and you don't know anything about buying a house, you fall in love with a house. If you don't have an agent guiding you, you're probably going to overpay for that house, right?
Wow.
But if you have a realtor that's like, you know what, the comps are a little bit lower, we can negotiate, we can ask for this and that, you're just going to get a better deal, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why when I launched my TV program, I brought my media buyer along and I said, okay, if we're going to do this, I want not only want to teach people how to do commercials, but I want to make it as easy as possible for them. So I want you to negotiate the commercials or the rates in the commercials from the stations like you did for me. I want you to produce the commercial, which that by itself, if you hire a company, they could charge you thousands, if not,
Yeah, for sure.
whatever the number is. I know people that have paid 10 to 25 grand for a TV commercial, which is crazy. So for us to be able to get that for such a low price, I mean, it just makes it a lot easier to get on TV and just cuts the learning curve down where people have tried to get on TV themselves. And again, they feel like it's too expensive and they just spin their wheels trying to get all the pieces together. And luckily we've been able to put all those pieces together and, we can launch someone typically in like 30 days.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's great,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's great. So are there any other misconceptions that kind of keep people away from doing TV advertising?
I think mainly what I talked about, just it's too expensive. The work it takes to do it. So I've got a high level guy that's doing hundreds of deals a year. And he's like, I've thought about TV, but I don't have the brain power for it. And he's like, how much time am I going to have to spend on TV or on this marketing method to get it going? I'm like, just give me like 3 hours of your time. That's all I need. Just give me some info, give me some domains, give me some phone numbers, go shoot the commercial. That's all I need from you. So I think the time factor and just putting it all together. Cause like if I said, Mike, you're a smart guy, you could figure it out. But if I said, go do TV commercials, you'd be like, where do I start? Okay, I need to, and you would probably have to spend a lot of time figuring out who to call, what the script's going to be, what stations do you be on? When you call a representative, do you feel like that you trust them, or are they just selling you the most expensive stuff, which usually they do?
Yeah.
There's just so many barriers to entry that that's why I feel like there's not much competition. And really, even with our program, I still feel like there's not going to be that much competition in most markets.
You just said something that made me think of just how cheap real estate investors are, where we're like, I'll just do it myself. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, if somebody can do something for me, or I could partner with somebody, like, I'll just like, give me the link. Where do I pay? How do I get this done? Because my time is so valuable. And I wasn't always that way. I used to like be on the cheap with everything. But I think you get to a point where you're like, my time is the most valuable asset I have. Why would I go try to climb this learning curve, which I probably will take forever to learn how to get there, compared to in TV, somebody like you that's been doing this for a long, long time, right? And so, I hope that most people that are listening to this show are, more like that, because, or moving in that direction if you're not, because your time we all got into this business for more freedom of time, right? And time and money too. But then you realize at some point, it's like making money here is easier than getting my time back. So don't waste your time on things that somebody else could figure out for you in a fraction of the time, and probably ultimately for a fraction of the cost,
Yep. Pay for speed and pay for results. And even like going back to the automation thing, like people are like, I don't want to hire someone. It's going to be, expensive. It's going to cut into my profits and this and that. And it's like, why are you being so cheap? Like, just pay for someone else to do the things that you don't like to do and that you think are going to get results. And your business is going to scale so much faster.
For sure. For sure. So Tony, I know you're working with a lot of Investor Fuel members now, which is really amazing. We just had our event a couple of weeks back. And so you've been in the group for, I think, about 6 months now. Would you mind just kind of sharing your experience of what Investor Fuel has been like for you?
Oh, it's been great. I had a couple of my people go to the meeting before this last Nashville meeting in Dallas, and they loved it. Created a lot of great relationships. I was able to go to the first one in Nashville, and I mean, just a ton of good people, like super good people doing a ton of deals. I had drinks with a few guys that just I know they're going to be good relationships, guys that are like just super cool guys and are doing a high volume of deals. And then just being around, high quality people, anytime you can get around people that are doing, some of the best things in the industry, you learn from what they're doing. You learn from what mistakes they're making. And just the connections again with just the people and being able to have high level conversations with you, Mike, and just anybody else in the group has been was amazing this last time around.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, glad to have you in the group there. So that's what
Yeah.
we're all about, is just giving and sharing what's working and what's not. And I think a lot of people that join the group, you and I actually met in a different mastermind many years ago now. And a lot of them have different cultures, but our culture is very much centered around giving and being vulnerable and sharing what's working, and not being afraid to talk about what's not working and admit kind of failures and stuff, because that's how we grow. So excited to have you in it, my friend.
Yeah, and another thing I'll say about that is no egos in the room. Like with yours, it's like it's giving, it's sharing. It's no one that's like, hey, I'm doing 100 or 200 deals a year. Like some of the guys, you look at them and you're like, do you even do any deals? And because they're quiet and they're not like flashy, and it's like, oh, dude, that guy's doing like 100 to 200 deals a year. It's like
Yeah.
that kind of group. So no, I really like it, and I'm looking forward to many more meetings and connecting with a lot more great people there.
Awesome, buddy. Well, hey, if folks want to connect with you on your TV program, you kind of have a done for you program that honestly, when you and I talked about it, I was kind of surprised. I don't want to give away anything here, but you told me the price. I thought you're undercharging. So, but it's really a pretty amazing thing. How do folks get a hold of you to learn more about it?
Yeah, so there's some I call semi-market exclusivity. So we have usually two, sometimes in the big markets, three people running TV commercials per market. So if you want to see if your market is not taken and apply, because we do also screen people who come into the program, we want to keep our very high success rate. Go to realestatemasters.tv.com. Again, realestatemasters.tv.com. Just a quick application, set up a call with me or my team, and we can go over pricing and all that kind of stuff. And we have a lot of clients that are also doing multiple markets. So even if your market's taken, if you want to, pick another market and do some virtual markets, I've got 2 virtual markets that I'm doing right now with other people. It's super easy to plug and play into not only your market, but other markets if you decide you want to do that route as well.
Awesome. So we'll add a link right down below in the show notes here for those of you that weren't able to write that down. But Tony, great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
Thanks for sharing so much with us today. And for those of you that are listening, I mean, at the end of the day, it's important to work with people that you trust, right? And so whether it's working with Tony or whatever you do, like, don't take the cheap route. I've seen so many people come and go in this industry because they try to take the cheap route. They don't try new things, right? They just kind of get stuck in their old ways. And if this market has taught us anything, it's you got to try new things. You got to get serious about your business and treat it like a business. So along those lines, if you haven't yet talked to us about Investor Fuel, our next meeting is right around the corner here. We have an amazing group of about 150 people that join us every quarter for our events. And we have all sorts of other things that happen almost every week online. Go to investorfuel.com. You can schedule a call with us and learn a little bit more about it. Till then, see you on the next episode. Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.